Chemical coordination and integration. In this chapter, we will read about the endocrine glands and the hormones, human endocrine system, hormones of heart, kidney, and the gastrointestinal tract, a mechanism of hormone action. You have already learned that the neural system provides a point-to-point rapid coordination among organs. The neural coordination is fast but short-lived. As the nerve fibers do not innervate all the cells of the body and the cellular functions need to be continuously regulated. A special kind of coordination and integration has to be provided, and the function is carried out by hormones. The neural system and the endocrine system jointly coordinate and regulate the physiological functions of the body. Endocrine glands and the hormones. Endocrine glands lack ducts and are hence called ductless gland. Their secretion are called hormones. The classification definition of hormones as a chemical produced by endocrine glands and are released into the blood and transported to a distinctly located target organ and has current scientific definition as follows. Hormones are non-nutrient chemicals which act as intracellular messengers and are produced in the trace amount. The new definition covers a number of new molecules in addition to the hormones secreted by the organized endocrine glands. Invertebrates possess a very simple endocrine system with a few hormones, whereas a large number of chemicals act as hormone and provide coordination in the vertebrates. The human endocrine system is described here. The human endocrine system. The endocrine glands and the hormone producing diffuse tissue cells located in the different part of our body constitute the endocrine system. Pituitary, pineal, thyroid, adrenal, pancreas, parathyroid, thymus, and gonads, that is testes in males and ovary in the females, are the organized endocrine bodies in our body. In addition to these, some other organs, example gastrointestinal tract, liver, kidney, heart, also produce hormones. A brief account of the structure and the function of all major endocrine glands and the hypothalamus of the human body is given in the following sections. The hypothalamus. As you know, the hypothalamus is the basal part of diencephalon forebrain and it regulates a wide spectrum of body functions. It contains several groups of neurosecretory cells called nuclei which produce hormones. These hormones regulate the synthesis and secretion of pituitary hormones. However, the hormones produced by the hypothalamus are of two types: the releasing hormones, which stimulate secretion of pituitary hormones, and the inhibiting hormones, which inhibit the secretion of pituitary hormones. For example, a hypothalamic hormone called the gonadotrophin releasing hormone, that is GnRH, stimulates the pituitary synthesis and release of gonadotrophins. On the other hand, somatostatin from the hypothalamus inhibits the release of growth hormone from the pituitary. These hormones originating in the hypothalamic neurons passes through axon and are released from their nerve endings. These hormones reach the pituitary gland through a portal circulatory system and regulate the function of the anterior pituitary. The posterior pituitary is under the direct neural regulation of the hypothalamus. The pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity called the sella turcica and is attached to the hypothalamus by a stalk. It is divided anatomically into adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis consists of two portions, pars distalis and pars intermedia. The pars distalis region of pituitary, commonly called anterior pituitary, produces growth hormone, that is GH, prolactin, that is PRL, and the thyroid stimulating hormone, that is TSH, adenocorticotrophic hormone, that is ACTH, luteinizing hormone, that is LH, and the follicular stimulating hormone, that is FSH. Pars intermedia secretes only one hormone called melanocyte stimulating hormone. However, in humans, the pars intermedia is almost merged with the pars distalis. Neurohypophysis, pars nervosa, neurohypophysis, that is pars nervosa, also known as posterior pituitary, stores and releases two hormones called the oxytocin and the vasopressin, which are actually synthesized by the hypothalamus and are transported axonally to the neurohypophysis. Oversecretion of the growth hormone stimulates abnormal growth of the body, leading to gigantism, and a low secretion of the GH result in the stunted growth, resulting in the pituitary dwarfism. Excess secretion of growth hormone in adults, especially in the middle age, can result in the severe disfigurement, that is especially the face, called acromegaly, which may lead to the serious complications and a premature death if unchecked. The disease is hard to diagnose in the early stages and often goes undetected for many years, until changes in the external feature become noticeable. Prolactin regulates the growth of the mammary glands and the formation of milk in them. TSH stimulates the synthesis and the secretion of thyroid hormones from the thyroid gland. ACTH stimulates the synthesis and the secretion of steroid hormone called glucocorticoids from the adrenal cortex. LH and FSH stimulate the gonadal activity and hence are called gonadotropins. In males, the LH stimulates the synthesis and the secretion of hormones called androgens from the testes. In the males, FSH and the androgens regulate the spermatogenesis. In females, LH induces ovulation of a fully mature follicles, that is Graafian follicles, and maintains the corpus luteum, formed from the remnants of the Graafian follicles. After ovulation, FSH stimulates the growth and the development of ovarian follicles in female. MSH acts on the melanocytes, that is melanin containing cells, and regulate the pigmentation of the skin. Oxytocin acts on the smooth muscles of our body and stimulates their contraction. In females, it stimulates a vigorous contraction of uterus at the time of childbirth and milk ejection from the mammary gland. Vasopressin acts mainly at the kidney and stimulates the reabsorption of the water and electrolytes by the distal tubules and thereby reduces the loss of water through urine, that is diuresis. Hence, it is also called the antidiuretic hormone, that is ADH. An impairment affecting synthesis or the release of ADH result in the diminished ability of the kidney to conserve the water, leading to the water loss and dehydration. And this condition is known as diabetes insipidus. The pineal gland. The pineal gland is located on the dorsal side of the forebrain. Pineal secretes a hormone called melatonin. Melatonin plays an important role in the regulation of a 24-hour diurnal rhythm of our body. For example, it helps in maintaining the normal rhythm of the sleep-wake cycle, body temperature. In addition, melatonin also influences metabolism, pigmentation, and the menstrual cycle, as well as our defense capability. Thyroid gland. The thyroid gland is composed of two lobes, which are located on either side of trachea. Both the lobes are interconnected with a thin flap of connective tissue called isthmus. The thyroid gland is composed of follicles and the stromal tissues. Each thyroid follicle is composed of follicular cells enclosing a cavity, and these follicular cells synthesize two hormones, that is tetraiodothyronine or the thyroxine, that is T4, and the triiodothyronine, that is T3. Iodine is essential for the normal rate of the hormone synthesis in the thyroid. Deficiency of iodine in our diet results in hypothyroidism and enlargement of the thyroid gland, commonly called the goiter. Hypothyroidism during pregnancy causes the defective development and maturation of the growing baby, leading to the stunted growth, that is cretinism, mental retardation, low intelligence quotient, abnormal skin, deep mutism, etc. In adult women, hypothyroidism may cause menstrual cycle to become irregular due to the cancer of the thyroid or the development of the nodules of the thyroid glands. The rate of synthesis and the secretion of thyroid hormones is increased to the abnormal high levels, leading to the condition called the hyperthyroidism, which adversely affect the body physiology. Exophthalmic goiter is a form of hyperthyroidism characterized by the enlargement of thyroid gland, protrusion of the eyeballs, increased basal metabolic rate, and the weight loss, and also called Graves' disease. Thyroid hormones play an important role in the regulation of the basal metabolic rate. These hormones also support the process of RBC formation. Thyroid hormones control the metabolism of carbohydrate, protein, and the fats. Maintenance of water and the electrolyte balance is also influenced by the thyroid hormones. Thyroid gland also secrete a protein hormone called the thyrocalcitonin, that is TCT, which regulates the blood calcium levels. Parathyroid gland. In humans, 4 parathyroid glands are present on the back side of the thyroid gland, one pair each in the 2 lobes of the thyroid gland. The parathyroid gland secrete a peptide hormone called the parathyroid hormone, that is PTH. The secretion of PTH is regulated by the circulating levels of the calcium ions. Parathyroid hormone, that is PTH, increases the calcium level in the blood. PTH acts on the bones and stimulates the process of bone resorption, that is dissolution or demineralization. PTH also stimulates the reabsorption of calcium by the renal tubules and increases calcium absorption from the digested food. It is thus clear that PTH is an hypercalcemic hormone, that is, it increases the blood calcium levels. Along with the TCT, it plays a significant role in the calcium balance in the body. Thymus. The thymus gland is a lobular structure located between the lungs, behind the sternum, on the ventral side of the aorta. The thymus plays a major role in the development of the immune system. This gland secretes the peptide hormones called the thymosins. Thymosins play a major role in the differentiation of T lymphocytes, which provide cell-mediated immunity. In addition, thymosin also promote production of antibodies to provide humoral immunity. Thymus is degenerated in the old individual, resulting in the decreased production of thymosins. As a result, the immune responses of the old person become weak. Adrenal gland. Our body has one pair of adrenal glands, one at the anterior part of each kidney, and the gland is composed of 2 types of tissues. The centrally located tissue is called adrenal medulla, and the outside this lies adrenal cortex. Underproduction of hormones by the adrenal cortex alters the carbohydrate metabolism, causes the acute weakness, and the fatigue, leading to the disease called the Addison's disease. The adrenal medulla secrete two hormones called adrenaline or the epinephrine and the noradrenaline or norepinephrine. These are commonly called as catecholamines. Adrenaline or noradrenaline are rapidly secreted in response to stress of any kind during emergency situation and are called emergency hormones or the hormones of fight and flight. These hormones increases alertness, pupillary dilation, piloerection or raising of hairs, sweating, etc. Both the hormones increases the heartbeat, the strength of the heart contraction and the rate of respiration. Catecholamines also stimulate the breakdown of the glycogen, resulting in an increased concentration of glucose in the blood. In addition, they also stimulate the breakdown of lipid and proteins. The adrenal cortex can be divided into three layers called zona reticularis, that is inner layer, zona fasciculata, that is middle layer, and the zona glomerulosa, that is outer layer. The adrenal cortex secretes many hormones, commonly called as corticoids. The corticoids, which are involved in the carbohydrate metabolism, are called glucocorticoids. In our body, cortisol is the main glucocorticoids. Corticoids which regulate the balance of water and electrolytes in our body are called mineralocorticoids. Aldosterone is the main mineralocorticoid in our body. Glucocorticoid stimulates the gluconeogenesis, lipolysis, and the proteolysis, and inhibit the cellular uptake and utilization of amino acid. Cortisol is also involved in the maintaining the cardiovascular system as well as the kidney functions. Glucocorticoids, particularly the cortisol, produces anti-inflammatory reactions and suppresses the immune responses. Cortisol stimulates the RBC production. Aldosterone acts mainly at the renal tubules and stimulates the reabsorption of sodium and the water and the excretion of potassium and phosphate ions. Thus, aldosterone helps in the maintenance of the electrolytes, body fluid volume, osmotic pressure, and the blood pressure. A small amount of androgenic steroids are also secreted by the adrenal cortex, which play an important role in the growth of axial hair, pubic hair, and the facial hair during puberty. Pancreas. Pancreas is a composite gland which acts as both exocrine and endocrine gland. The endocrine pancreas consists of islet of Langerhans. There are about 1 to 2 million islet of Langerhans in a normal human pancreas, representing only 1 to 2% of the pancreatic tissue. The two main types of cells in the islet of Langerhans are called alpha cells and the beta cells. The alpha cells secrete a hormone called glucagon, while the beta cells secrete insulin. Glucagon is a peptide hormone and plays an important role in the maintaining the normal blood glucose levels. Glucagon acts mainly on the liver cells, that is hepatocytes, and stimulates the glucogenolysis, resulting in the increased blood sugar, that is hyperglycemia. In addition, this hormone stimulates the process of gluconeogenesis, which also contribute to the hyperglycemia. Glucagon reduces the cellular glucose uptake and utilization, thus glucagon is a hyperglycemic hormone. Insulin is a peptide hormone which plays a major role in the regulation of glucose homeostasis. Insulin acts mainly on the hepatocytes and the adipocytes, that is cells of adipose tissue, and enhances cellular glucose uptake and utilization. As a result, there is a rapid movement of glucose from blood to the hepatocytes and adipocytes, resulting in the decreased blood glucose levels, that is hypoglycemia. Insulin also stimulates conversion of glucose to glycogen, that is glycogenesis, in the target cell. The glucose homeostasis in the blood is thus maintained jointly by the two insulin and the glucagons. Prolonged hyperglycemia leads to the complex disorder called the diabetes mellitus, which is associated with the loss of glucose through urine and the formation of harmful compounds known as ketone bodies. Diabetic patients are successfully treated with the insulin therapy. Now, testes. A pair of testes is present in the scrotal sac, that is outside the abdomen of the male individuals. Testis performs dual functions as a primary sex organ as well as an endocrine gland. Testis is composed of seminiferous tubules and the stromal or the interstitial tissue. The Leydig cells or interstitial cells, which are present in the intertubular spaces, produces a group of hormones called the androgens, mainly testosterone. Androgens regulate the development, maturation, and the function of the male accessory sex organs like epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, prostate gland, urethra, etc. These hormones stimulate the muscular growth of facial and axillary hair, aggressiveness, low pitch of the voice, etc. Androgens play a major stimulatory role in the process of spermatogenesis, that is formation of spermatozoa. Androgens act on the central neural system and influence the male sexual behavior, that is libido. These hormones produces anabolic, that is synthetic effect on protein and carbohydrate metabolism. Now, ovary. Females have a pair of ovaries located in the abdomen. Ovary is the primary female sex organ which produces one ova during each menstrual cycle. In addition, ovary also produces two groups of steroid hormones called the estrogens and the progesterone. Ovary is composed of ovarian follicles and stromal tissues. The estrogen is synthesized and secreted mainly by the growing ovarian follicles. After ovulation, The ruptured follicle is converted to a structure called corpus luteum, which secretes mainly progesterone. Estrogens produce wide-ranging actions such as stimulation of growth and activities of the female secondary sex organs, development of growing ovarian follicles, appearance of female secondary sex character, that is, for example, high pitch of voice, etc., mammary gland development. Estrogens also regulate female sexual behavior. Progesterone supports pregnancy. Progesterone acts on the mammary glands and stimulates the formation of alveoli, that is sac-like structure which store milk and milk secretion. Now hormones of heart, kidney and the gastrointestinal tract, that is GIT. Now you know about the endocrine glands and their hormones. However, as mentioned earlier, hormones are also secreted by some tissues which are not endocrine glands. For example, the atrial wall of our heart secretes a very important peptide hormone called the atrial natriuretic factor, that is ANF, which decreases blood pressure. When blood pressure is increased, ANF is secreted, which causes dilation of the blood vessels, and this reduces the blood pressure. The juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney produces a peptide hormone called the erythropoietin, which stimulates the erythropoiesis, that is formation of RBC. Endocrine cells present in the different part of the gastrointestinal tract secrete four major peptide hormones, namely gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, that is 6CK, and the gastric inhibitory peptide, that is GIP. Gastrin acts on the gastric glands and stimulates the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsinogens. Secretin acts on the exocrine pancreas and stimulates the secretion of water and bicarbonate ions. CCK acts on both pancreas and gallbladder and stimulates the secretion of pancreatic enzymes and bile juice respectively. GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide, inhibits gastric secretion and motility. Several other non-endocrine tissues secrete hormones called the growth factors, and these factors are essential for the normal growth of tissue and their repairing and regeneration. Mechanism of hormone action. Hormones produce their effect on target tissue by binding to specific proteins called the hormone receptors, located in the target tissues only. Hormone receptors present on the cell membrane of the target cells are called the membrane bond receptors, and the receptor present inside the target cell are called intracellular receptors. Mostly nuclear receptor that is present in the nucleus. Binding of hormone to its receptor leads to the formation of hormone receptor complex. Each receptor is specific to one hormone only, and hence receptors are specific. Hormone receptor complex formation leads to a certain biochemical changes in the target tissue. Target tissue metabolism and hence physiological functions are regulated by hormones. On the basis of their chemical nature, hormones can be divided into groups. First, peptide, polypeptide, protein hormones, for example, insulin, glucagon, pituitary hormones, hypothalamic hormones, etc. Second, steroids, for example, cortisol, testosterone, estradiol, and the progesterone. And the third, that is iodothyronines, that is thyroid hormones. And the fourth, that is amino acid derivatives, example, epinephrine. Hormones which interact with the membrane bond receptor normally do not enter the target cell, but generate second messengers, that is, for example, cyclic AMP, IP3, calcium, etc., which in turn regulate the cellular metabolism. Hormones which interact with the intracellular receptor, that is, for example, steroid hormones and the iodothyronines, etc., mostly regulate the gene expression or chromosome function by the interaction of the hormone receptor complex within the genome. Cumulative biochemical action result in the physiological and the development effects.